Phase Hero episode number 74 starts right now. BD here, joined today by Jenna Anderson.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. We got Jamie Jurac.
Hello, and happy Superman week. Let's go.
Ooh, Superman week rolls on, baby. We got Aaron Perrine.
What's going on, everybody? Feeling pretty super.
I feel honestly like, look at this comment section. We got a lot of first-time live viewers. We got Layla from across the pond checking back in for the first time in a long time. And Stephen Hall, welcome to the show for the first time. Thank you for the $1.99. Everybody, W Stephen in the chat, and everybody listening in podcast form. Just give like one small clap right there for Stephen joining us live for the first time. Thank you all for hanging with us on Phase Hero. It is Superman week on Phase Hero. Monday, the James Gunn interview released in audio form. If you're on YouTube, you probably already saw it. Tuesday, Jenna and I recorded our review, spoiler free. That's available exclusively in audio form on the podcast. So if you haven't given that a listen, please do. We're going to touch on that, of course, in this episode. Today, it's DC news, Marvel news, Jurassic World printing money news, Dune 3 news, the Odyssey, all kinds of Marvel DC movie madness to talk about. And tomorrow on the audio, you will get David Cornsweet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Holt, another interview, which is available in video form on the channel. If you're on the channel, you probably already saw it, but the podcast listeners will get it in its entirety. And then on Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern time, the Fantastic Four Phase Hero crew will review Superman with spoilers. We'll talk all sorts of DC Universe Easter eggs, breakdown, reactions, thoughts, all kinds of stuff about the movie, and that will be made available as soon as I can possibly edit that audio and get it up in podcast form for everybody to listen to. Thank you so much for celebrating Superman week with us. Jenna, you got to go to the Superman premiere. We talked a little bit about this on the on the review episode. How are you feeling now that your body has adjusted to that quick trip to LA and you're back home?
I was gonna say, like, waking up today after sleeping for over 8 hours for the first time in like a week was very nice. Like I getting to process the emotions of everything on more than a couple hours of sleep definitely hit different. I am just in utter disbelief that we're finally here at this week and that it is as amazing as it already has been. Like going again to see the movie last night at the Amazon early screening and just knowing what was coming and hearing people react to certain things. I want to bottle that and feel that for the rest of my life. I did not know it was possible for a DC movie to get that kind of response, and it just makes me emotional. I'm so happy.
When we talked yesterday, I was planning to go see the movie again on Saturday, and then I looked up the Amazon screenings, and there was 2 seats center of the theater in an IMAX showing. Somebody must have just canceled their tickets, and Richard and I were going to go over the weekend, but I couldn't go again until Saturday because I have OVW Thursday. I'm going to SmackDown on Friday, and Richard really wants to see it, and he's still running another podcast, so he was going to have it spoiled for him. So I was like, bro, look at these seats. Do you want to go? It's like a 40-minute drive to this theater far away from us. We went. It was just such a good feeling to watch it with that essentially opening night crowd. This kind of gets 2 opening nights. The Amazon screening, it was packed. I'm sorry, Jamie and Aaron, that we are kind of gloating about.
I'm going tomorrow, 2 p.m. I don't think I'll get any spoilers before then. So,
you also saw Batman and Robin on Monday. So
yeah, that was so funny. Like, you guys brought the Superman premiere, and I'm like, I can't be jealous because I'm seeing my first original favorite DC movie at the Academy Museum. So I was thriving.
Oh yeah. Stephen Hall says my theater at Dolby in Pittsburgh tomorrow is sold out. 250 plus people. If you see our friend Cam Hayward out there, tell him hello. He also hasn't seen the movie yet, so he's going. I don't know when. I don't know which theater, but he told me he's got to go see it this week, and he hasn't had a chance to yet. Aaron, when are you finally going to get a chance to see Superman?
I saw it last night.
Oh, you saw it last night?
Oh,
Yeah.
This is news. Wait a second. Yeah. Hold on. Breaking news. Aaron's reaction live on the pod.
I think it's very good. Like, it's very good. It's very well made. The vision is very clear. I think that, that's about as strong of a start as you could have possibly like hoped for, I guess, as like a start to do DCU. I'm probably not quite as high on it, but those are things that are not about the movie. I can't really say anything about the craft of the movie itself that is like wrong with it or anything else. But yeah, it was about what I expected. Also, I'm sure Jenna will get into it later, but there is a level of like hearing a crowd react to this thing in live time, like by themselves, and a lot of them not doing this job and they're not plugged into every single little thing that's reported about it, was sort of really nice. And I don't know when the last time, probably Deadpool, Wolverine, maybe before that, No Way Home maybe was the only times I was like, oh wow, like this is a nice crowd to be in. It's the closest you could get to being in a WrestleMania crowd.
Honestly, the energy in the theater for those Amazon screenings was fantastic. There was applause, there was cheers, there was sniffles. I adore an opening night with that sort of energy. Stephen Hall asked, remind me, did any of you have Superman as your number one most anticipated? I believe Jenna and I did.
We both did.
And I believe it was like switched. Jenna and I had Superman 1, Fantastic Four 2, and Jamie and Aaron had the reverse of that. Am I right?
Roughly,
That sounds right.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly. Brandon Builder, 499, thank you so much. Brandon Gang, hey, cool name, Brandon. Seeing Soup Saturday in IMAX 3D, cannot wait. So we got, obviously, most of our comment section, everybody watching live has not yet seen Superman. I did see a comment about having something spoiled. I know it was a very harmless comment. I did delete it. Just let's even, if you had something spoiled and you're vaguely referencing it, let's not even reference that in the comment section. That's not, I'm not mad at you. I promise, no shade. I know that was a totally harmless comment, but people really, I respect how much people want to enjoy this movie and know nothing about it. So yeah, let's just steer clear of that in the comments during the live show. If it's your first time listening to the podcast, I feel like we're going to get a lot of new listeners this week, which is really exciting to me. If it's your first time on Phase Hero, we like to like stuff. We like to celebrate stuff. We are here to have a good time with it. And we try to just have a good time talking amongst ourselves, talking with the comment section. And we encourage you to convey that same energy if you don't mind. Try to keep it positive, try to keep it friendly, try to keep it inclusive and fun and a good time here on Phase Hero. If it's your first time listening, welcome to our circus. Let's start off with some news. You can go to phasehero.com, get your merch, see all the latest videos, see everything there. Go subscribe to Jenna's channel as well at Go Read Some Comics, because there's gonna be so much Superman content there. I suggest subscribing to all four of us, but I'm particularly going to shout out Jenna because I know there's going to be a ton of really good DC Universe content. So good that it's often shared by James Gunn. Superman Review Roundup. This movie is certified fresh. That's where we're going to start. Let me pull up the Rotten Tomatoes here for this part. It's at 85% right now through 182 reviews, and it is a 96% popcorn meter. Verified hot, which I've never seen before. Is that new?
I think so.
It's been a couple months. They announced like things that get a certain level on the popcorn meter. You get verified hot when like the audience is on fire about it too. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, that's cool. Cool to see Superman critics and fans both loving it. Let's pull up. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm curious what the bad reviews say because there are so few of them clearly. So I'm going to take a look at some of those too. But I'm just going to look at what we have here, and I'll even share my screen so you can see. I'm not cherry picking. I'm just going to go through what we have here and see what critics are saying about Superman. Let me get the...
I will say on the topic of like the negative reviews, even just seeing like in the Twitter reactions and stuff, it feels like some people just were not prepared to be on the same wavelength as this movie or went in expecting one thing and then kind of got something different. I've seen people say like, oh, it's overstuffed. It has too much going on, yada, yada. We will get into it even more when we talk about it in our spoiler episode, but I think the way that the movie approaches those elements is a good thing. Just because we're not used to it doesn't mean that it isn't necessarily a bad thing in the way that it's presented. But I can understand how some people who might have expected something a little more traditional, especially for the first movie in a franchise, weren't prepared for what they ultimately got.
I completely agree. This movie comes in hot with an established universe. And if you're not familiar with Superman, you might be confused.
As someone who has not seen the movie yet, I will say that the couple people I know that gave it a negative review versus the people I know that gave it a good review. One, a couple people that I gave it a negative are people that like, this just isn't their genre. Like a friend of mine who's just like, who mostly is in the horror space. He did not like this movie. And I'm like, well, that's fine. It's not that doesn't affect me. But I did see the number one complaint I saw is that it feels like a sequel. But here's the thing. I'm sorry. I don't want a movie that explains to me what Superman is. I don't need that. So if that's what the complaint is, great. I'm looking forward to not having that happen.
It is so unabashedly in the universe that it is in. Like, it is surreal the way that we just like hit the ground running. Like, I talk about this in the video script that I'm working on right now of just my spoiler-free reactions, but just to be a DC fan and have this universe be presented the way that it is, I did not know it was possible to just have this and to have people embrace it the way that they do. But like, yeah, if you're not on the same wavelength, or if you're not expecting that, or you just don't like superhero stuff as much to begin with, you might not necessarily like that.
Yeah, I think that that's entirely going to be the case. Also think some people had their mind made up before they went in,
Yeah.
which, and I'm not, there's nobody I'm thinking of in particular. I honestly think more about fans in some cases than critics. But I do think there are some people who you could look at this and go, that's not going to be for me. And then you go in and it's not for you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at this. The first review here is actually a rotten review from Radian Simon Pillai from Globe and Mail. The excerpt says Gunn doesn't just borrow from his own Guardians movie, but in his dumpster diving ways, salvages elements from Superman 3 and Supergirl. It's all lightly amusing and likely expensive. Mayhem that will please fans of the director and the genre.
That wasn't even that negative.
Yeah, the dumpster diving ways kind of sounds like a slight at Gunn and just not being a fan of his work. But that's all right, whatever. We got a positive review. Jake Wilson from Sydney Morning Herald. Possibly the most hyped cinematic reboot in the history of reboots, and also a perfectly adequate piece of light entertainment. Okay, all right. Lee Patch from Herald Sun. We got back-to-back Australian here. There are soft edges to this Man of Steel, a flawed, relatable humanity that the relatively unknown actor chosen for the role, David Corenswet, both understands and conveys very effectively indeed. I completely agree.
Yep.
Janier Zerbano from Cinemania in Spain. Hilarious, emotional, and comical. James Gunn and David Corenswet elevate Superman to the top. Those are 3 positives in a row. Now we're to a negative from Ty Burr from Ty Burr's watch list on Substack. The movie is a disaster, a snarky, jokey, overdesigned, overwritten, overdigitized, over everything misreading of all we think the cultural property called Superman stands for. Ty, respectfully, fully disagree. Fully disagree with that one. We'll just get to the bottom of this one page and then we'll move on. Ray Guzman says the new DC universe gets off to a promising start, but unsteady start with this reboot. I can understand somebody thinking unsteady if you're overwhelmed by how much is happening, especially in the beginning, but in promising start, I completely agree.
I will also say, rewatching it twice in the span of 24 hours, a lot of the overwhelming nature of it clicks into place very quickly. Like, it's not even just that, oh, I know what to expect, but like once you kind of revisit it, it like everything flows in a way that is a lot less overwhelming.
Yeah. We'll talk about this on our spoiler-free review, but Jenna and Aaron, you'll probably know what I mean. There's a moment in the beginning where I feel like the movie settles. There's a cut to black real quick. Boom. We're in a different place. From that point forward, I felt like the foundation was laid and Superman was able to just take off, really.
Yeah.
And it never looked back. We got Dominique Baez from Seattle Times. The action sequences are top-notch. The stunning visuals adding a delightful crunch, bones do break, and a sense of scale appropriate for someone like Superman. Pablo Scholes, another positive here. What's the best thing about this Superman? That it doesn't promise anything it can't deliver, that it has well-developed characters, that it has action humor, and that it doesn't need to create complex meta-universes. And we'll just end with this. We'll do these last 2 here. Michael Phillips, a positive review from Chicago Tribune, says it's nicely packed and quite funny when it isn't giving into Gunn's trademark air of merry depravity, and that's a 3 out of 4 score. Okay. Francesca Steele from inews.co.uk and a rotten review here says David Corenswet is the best Superman since Christopher Reeve, but muddled plots and villain overload leave this reboot floundering. 2 out of 5 score. Let's end on a positive note. Sonny Bunch from the Bulwark says unrelentingly goofy until it tries to get serious, and then it's even goofier somehow. That's positive review? What? Right. David Crow, I like David. One on Den of Geeks.
Me.
Yeah.
What?
I said, if you're me, that's the good sell for old Jamie right there.
That is true.
I know David. I've seen David at so many events from Den of Geek. He says, unlike every other live action actor since 1980, I wasn't watching some guy playing Superman. I was simply watching Superman, and he is opposite likely the best on-screen Lois we've ever had. It really is a nifty effect. That is honestly, that kind of encapsulates how I feel about this movie. I think that's a good take, and we'll end on that one. Any takeaways from this before we move on to the next subject?
So Stephen Hall, first of all, has a super chat to address, but second of all, before that, he asked if you need to see Creature Commandos to appreciate this movie. You do not. Like, no. It enhances the experience of just knowing the universe a little bit more, but none of that plot is really intrinsic to what's going on here, which is how this should kind of be approached. It's great.
Great, because I forgot to finish Creature Commandos.
Oh, I
forgot
look forward to your
Daredevil.
reaction.
Oh my
I
God,
look forward to
Creature
your
Commandos
reaction
gets-
when you finish
It gets better as it goes too. It
I'm sure
really
I'll love
does.
it. I'm sure. I've just been watching a lot of Columbo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
there you go.
I get it.
Yeah, you absolutely don't. I recommend watching Creature Commandos if you're into adult animation. That show is not the same tone as Superman at all. It is way less family friendly. But I really enjoyed that show, especially the back half of that show. Stephen Hall says, oh boy, here we go. $4.99. Thank you for the $4.99. Damn you for this question. Which film does a better job at starting a cinematic universe, Iron Man or Superman? That's really hard to say because they do it so dramatically differently. And Jenna, go ahead.
I think it is accomplishing two very different things. When Iron Man came out, we didn't have the concept of a cinematic universe to the degree that we really do right now. And I think that this movie is building a new thing on the backbone and on the just cultural understanding of where we are now at and what people and audiences are used to with franchises like that. But it does it in ways that almost are like, this is so effortless, this is so easy, why weren't we already doing this and trying to set up franchises like this? It's not taking forever to get to certain things. A lot of things just are. And so I will argue it's more intentional, whereas like Iron Man especially was kind of like laying the tracks as it went, and the MCU as it was still being built kind of around that movie. But I think with this, it is like very effective. It feels like a fully fleshed out universe and not just like, well, here's Tony Stark in a world that we're going to explore later.
Yeah, both really left me wanting to see more.
One was only one of those actually tasked with the task you're putting out. Like, no one knew that the MCU was going to be a thing when Iron Man got made. Like, if you read Joanna's book, like you'll see, like the plan was just a twinkle in old Kevin Feige's eye back in Iron Man, and James Gunn was given a task to build this thing out, and I'd say Superman accomplishes that pretty darn well.
And
as someone who hasn't seen it, like obviously I can't answer this question, but I do feel like we're talking movies in 2008 versus movies in 2025, and the superhero genre to me has become very much like what the Western genre was, like in the 40s and 50s, and then think about what Westerns they were making in the 60s. Like, it was just a different time, a different feelings about the genre in general, and so it's I feel like that's an impossible question to answer.
Yeah, they're very. I'll take a side and I'll say Superman establishes a universe better because it literally does establish a universe, whereas Iron Man had a line of dialogue from Nick Fury that teased the universe. I'm not going to pick a favorite movie. I refuse to do that right now. I need to let this marinate.
I don't even think he's asking you to do that. I think he's just asking which achieves that thing. And
but
again,
I'm interested to see also. It's a fair question. It's a fun question. Thank you so much. And DBZ now, we'll just. Thank you for the 10. Great movie. I do think a certain plot point involving Superman's heritage will divide Superman fans. Your thoughts? We'll talk about that Friday. So I will pull this comment back up on Friday because we're not talking spoilers now, and I don't even want to dive into what you mean by that question, but I really appreciate the 10 DBZ now. What's up?
Oh, I was just going to say, to Jamie's point about the Westerns thing, I think the same thing, but from a completely different angle of it. Weirdly enough, and this movie especially makes me think about it in that way. We'll save it for Friday.
Friday's gonna be fun, guys.
Okay.
Friday's gonna be fun.
Join us I'm hyped.
What's that?
Oh, I just said I was hyped. I'm very excited.
On the DC front, we got some Batman news. What?
Yeah.
Unheard of.
I know, shocker. It was funny because also, so James Gunn got asked on the red carpet at the Superman premiere, very quickly, seemingly being moved by. He got asked by a gaggle of reporters with like a half a dozen microphones shoved in his face. Have you read the script for the Batman Part 2? Now that Matt Reeves has turned it in, which people were like, why is he being asked this question at his own movie? It's like he's the studio head, and obviously everyone wants to know, and that's the quickest question you can probably ask him. And he answered, "It's great." So we have that. It was funny because Matt Reeves was at the premiere. I seemingly like ships in the night missed him like 10 minutes after I went to go sit in my screening, which was a bummer because there was one photo of him kind of walking like a cryptid through the carpet. But yeah, like now we know that he's read it and he thinks it's great. What do you guys think?
This is the most talked about script of all time, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Just at this point, let me read it. I don't even need to see the movie. Let me read the script.
It's funny, while I was watching Batman and Robin on Monday, I had a thought of like, gosh, this is so much more my Batman than anything forgetting now, which is like so a me problem. But I do like, I still don't believe we're ever gonna see this movie, so I can't even be excited. Like I'm like, okay, it's just been so long since the first one, and I love our pets so much. I love our bats, so great. If it happens, I'll be seated.
I just need to speak this. I'm still tinfoil hatting that this is all a work, to the point that the screenings they've shown held back a scene that now on Thursday, when the movie finally hits theaters, they're going to put it in there so that it couldn't be spoiled before opening weekend, and Robert Pattinson is going to show up.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't actually believe that, but maybe I do.
That tinfoil hat is getting tighter and tighter.
It wasn't the ladder match that gave me the cut on my head. It was the tinfoil hat getting too tight. No, I still think that would be the wildest moment in movies since Nick Fury showed up in Iron Man. If they had a credit scene where Pattinson shows up and they held it until Thursday, because obviously if that happened, it would be all over the world by now. If they showed that at the premiere or the Amazon screenings, like there's just no way that could be kept a secret. People would be everywhere with it. But imagine that.
I'll go back to James repeatedly saying that he didn't want to gratuitously set something up like that in a post-credit scene. But I like that you have your theory, and I like you can still find ways to continue to have your theory, even as you've seen the movie 3 times now. We'll see.
I mean, I just don't. I really, the only reason I go to that is because I think audiences will struggle to have 2 Supermans or 2 Batmans. I really do. I think they will. And like, I went to a coffee shop this morning. I go to the same coffee shop to get work done. It's basically my office now when I'm home, and I'm wearing a Superman hat. And the guy at the barista there, it was like, "Is that for the new Superman? It's not Henry Cavill anymore." And I was like, "See, people don't even know. People
But they will know.
They will. And this movie's getting so well reviewed that I think it's going to have a massive weekend, and people are going to talk about it. But we'll see. Anyway, Batman script part 2, allegedly great per James Gunn. And speaking of James Gunn, him and Zack Snyder had a little fun on Rick and Morty. Did you guys see this clip?
No.
I, sitting in the airport about to leave to fly to the premiere and just watching clips of it on Twitter was delightful. They're really like having fun, just making fun of themselves, even more so than kind of like poking fun at each other. But just the timing of putting out this episode this week when the 2 sides of the fandom are going to be more impassioned than ever was a brilliant choice. It's very funny.
Is Rick and Morty a Warner Brothers property?
It sure is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. That checks out.
Also,
I don't know. I have. Oh, Aaron, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say this is the origin story of that goofy photo too.
Yeah. It is like literally. I think it was Variety that reported that. Yeah, the photo from earlier this year that then got asked about at the press event and everything of like, is Zach doing something? They recorded their lines back to back on the same day, and then they were like, "Hey, while we're here, we might as well take a picture together."
Yeah.
I haven't seen this. Is there any acknowledgement of what's happening on the internet? Like,
no.
It's no, it's more just like poking fun at just like Zach's cartoon avatar is very overly buff and like orders creatine from the WB commissary and like jokes that there needs to be more slow-mo in the new Superman movie. Like it's very much just kind of poking fun at stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if Zach is in more of the episode, and I know James is in more of the episode. I haven't watched it. James is kind of the villain of the episode. But Zack Snyder like goes to the commissary, orders extra creatine, please. And then he goes up to James. He's like, "Hey, James, I just watched your cut of Superman. Word of advice, more action and more punching." And James is like, says something back. And then Zach is like, "And here's the secret. Get a punch and then slow it down." And James is like, "It's not a fucking secret." And then they kind of argue about that real quick. And he says something about like, my biceps, you got to be nice to me because my biceps are bigger than your head, James. And it's just like, they're clearly having a good time. I think there's still people who are theorizing somebody forced Zack Snyder at gunpoint to record this dialogue. Like, Jesus. I don't know. I believe these 2 guys are friends and they're not full of shit about that. But, I don't know, people on the internet can believe what they want to believe.
It's also, Zack Snyder is weirdly game for all of this. Like, he was on Teen Titans Go a couple of years ago, just making fun of himself. Like, he loves doing this stuff, and I know he loves Rick and Morty. So, like, I'm glad that this kind of came together to, like, bond them together, but it is even funnier that the fandoms are still going to just do whatever they do.
Of course.
He was also just on the studio. Like,
that
playing
Golden Globes
himself.
episode.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of both these guys. I like both of their work, and I like them both as people. I've been lucky enough to meet both guys, spend probably a couple of hours cumulatively interviewing both of them, and they're both incredibly delightful people to talk to. Sean, thank you for the £5. I'm going to watch Superman. I want to see what the buzz is about. I feel David is miscast, though. What is your feeling about Donner versus Gunn now? I completely disagree with David being miscast. I don't think there's ever been a better Superman casting. And I know that's a big statement. I just feel like he embodies his role so well in the movie. Donner versus Gunn, we'll talk about that Friday.
I do agree
Thank you
about
so
the miscasting, though. Like, he is perfect for the modern context that we need this character. Like, you genuinely could not get any better.
Yeah.
From the moment I saw him crouch down on the ground in public square in Cleveland with them kids, I was like, well, he fits the bill. That's right. He's more than just a square jawline.
My dad keeps saying, I don't think he's hot enough to play Superman. And I'm like,
show the GQ photo shoot from earlier this week.
I know. I'm like, Dad, first of all, you're not attracted to men, so I don't like, why are you feeling so strongly about this? Every time it comes up, well, I just don't think he's very hot. Okay, Dad. Like, you're wrong. But it's just like he's really trying to die on that hill, my father.
James Gunn only casts hot people, I swear it.
Yeah.
You said this yesterday after we were done recording, and it still is true.
Look at the men and women in this movie. They're all hot. Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Come on.
For the audio
now.
listener, we're pulling up photos of the GQ photo shoot that David did.
Hey, I can go on, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going to the depth for me.
I also want to shout out Fit Dad CEO Dave, who is at the gym. I don't know if this is his home gym or he's at a hotel gym or what, but he said Phase Hero just popped on at the gym. I think that's look at us on the big screen. I think it's so cool when people watch us on their TV screens. And then some people tag us on Twitter with like a picture of their TV screen. Hey, thank you guys for that. If you do that on Instagram, we'll share it on the Phase Hero story, by the way. I'll share it on my story too. But yeah, no, thank you. Hey, Dave, just saying hey to Dave.
Can we shout out Steven's comment here, Brandon? Stephen Hall.
This one?
Yeah. So if the box office opening weekend is massive, do you think they'll greenlight and announce more ASAP? Well, if you go onto the Face Hero channel and watch young Brandon talk to James Gunn said we're not waiting longer than about a couple years. So I feel like that's coming regardless. Good news.
Yeah, I do think in general, they've just been kind of conservative with announcing certain things unless they are very much ready to begin production, because it seemed like you don't want to put too much of the cart before the horse when you haven't put out a movie yet in this new franchise. But I agree, like once the goodwill, I've believed this for months, once the goodwill of this movie is as high as it is, then we're probably going to just get a lot more announcements. They also don't need a San Diego announcement. Like we'll talk about it later with Hall H of it all. James can just tweet something. He can just tweet a video of him announcing projects, and that can break the internet in and of itself. So I think they can do that whenever and however they want.
They are bringing Supergirl. This is part of our show later, but they're bringing Supergirl to a later convention this year, which I believe is obviously New York Comic-Con in October. And I don't think they're going to go all willy-nilly greenlighting stuff. I think maybe they might get confidence in a couple more things start developing. But I think James has been very clear that we don't greenlight things until we have a script. And I think I don't really imagine they've had trouble greenlighting things there, because they got Lanterns moving already. They got Creature Commandos done already. Peacemaker season 2 is already in the bag and coming soon. Supergirl is already wrapped production, I think. Or am I making that up?
It has.
I might be ahead of myself on that. It is done, right?
Clayface is filming. Yeah, it's done. Clayface is filming later this year, and there's like 5 other animated things. There's like Mr. Miracle and all of the younger animated shows. So like they're greenlighting stuff as it is ready to be greenlit. But like you said, it's like kind of script focused. I just think there's like certain announcements that they might be saving to ride the high of Superman doing well.
Nice, yeah. Brandon Builder watching on a plane from ATL to Denver. Hey, that's that good Wi-Fi. Southwest has upped their Wi-Fi game recently. United is offering free Starlink now, and it is like you could stream Netflix on that. It is the airline internet game. Thank the airline gods is getting better, because I live on these damn planes, and I get so much work done. They've become my office almost as much as the coffee shop. Enjoy your flight, Bran. Palm Clementieff is rumored to be up for Huntress. This comes from Nexus Point News and DC Film News. Shout out DC Film News. Love that account. If you're not following, they are they are like a one-man Superman advertising team. Not even advertising, just everything relevant ends up on DC Film News. So highly recommend staying tuned to that channel. Palm Clementieff, Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the automatons, the voices of one of the automatons in Superman, up for the Huntress role. Jen, I know you have to have thoughts on this.
This has been kind of rumored in the background, almost like before the initial slate announcement. Like, people have wondered if this was a possibility for a while, because James has been very open about, like, he's talked to certain Guardians cast members about having roles in this franchise, and this somehow then immediately started popping up afterwards. I would love to see this if it does end up happening. Again, I think it comes down to the script and the production and their confidence in making the project. The Nexus Point news article about it is really interesting because it elaborates on something that James said during the junket, which is that they're working on projects, developing projects in other countries. And so they kind of say, like, based on the information that they know, it would be spoken in the country's native language and have a crew that is mostly native to that country. And then it would be characters who then can come over and be in other projects and speak English and just be part of the universe in that way. I think that is fascinating, and I would love to see what that ultimately looks like, because I think they said they have Brazil, Korea, and Japan are the countries that James is developing stuff in now, which is just very cool.
I want to say with Palm, I think she'd be excellent. I love this rumor, but I am still mourning the Birds of Prey, like, not
Me
getting
too.
those women again, because, like,
Forever.
we love that movie so much. It is probably my favorite DC movie of all time. It's usurped Batman and Robin. But I just, like, the thought of never seeing Margot Robbie play Harley Quinn again, like, makes me want to lie down. It makes me so sad.
I will say, as someone who loves that movie more than words can express, I've accepted the fact that if I don't see every component of that in the new universe, I'm fine, because I still love the characters so much, and I recognize, like, there are ways to introduce them and interpret them in this new universe that can be different from what we had in the Birds of Prey movie. But I think, if anything, Margot as Harley feels the most likely to carry over. It just seems like it's still being worked on, if that's a possibility.
I love this meta moment of Jamie lying face down, like existential crisis Barbie, about Margot Robbie not playing her anymore. This is interesting. I'd like to see what it looks like, or, like, kind of hear more about what the movie would be. She's obviously horribly talented, but also this underlines something else, is that expect these Guardians people to pop up here. If you're a staunch just Marvel fan, and you're like the last soldiers that don't know that the war is over, friends. They're all going to appear in something with that man. He keeps a tight circle. They're the same actors a lot of the time because he likes working with them and he prioritizes that. You could have worked with James Gunn on something back in the early 2000s, and you will be soldier number 9 holding a gun in one of these projects, like, for sure. So go ahead and prepare yourself now. Get it out your system. Dave, Chris, just Sean Gunn is somewhere already doing.
I mean, he's in 3 different roles.
I know, and he'll be in more.
The list so far of Guardians in the DC universe includes Sean Gunn, Bradley Cooper, Michael Rooker. Is there any more?
Palm
Clementieff is an automaton, so we're already at 4. It's just a matter of time until you get Zoe Palm in a more prominent role than the voice of an automaton. Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, and James clearly likes working with the people he likes working with. Cool. You had huge success with people. Yeah, you had huge success with people on one project. Work with them again. Make more success.
It's so funny to me when people, like, give him a hard time for that. I'm like, I don't know. Have you ever heard of Martin Scorsese? Like, that's what directors do.
Everyone does it. Even Zack Snyder does it. And, like, the Snyder diehards will argue against it with James. So it's just a thing that happens, and it's a sign that, like, people like working with this person as a creative.
If you've delivered James Gunn an Amazon package, you can be featured as an extra, says Jamari Jordan. That's funny. That's a funny comment. All right, we're going to switch gears to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for some news here. The Fantastic Four, they're out in Germany. They were out in Paris earlier. The press tour has kicked off. I do still feel like it's being overshadowed this week because Superman is going to dominate. But that's just to be expected. I think come Monday, we're going to see Fantastic Four really ramp up. I think it's cool what they're doing. They did those 4s over certain cities. I thought that was a nice touch. Has there been much else on the Fantastic Four front that has been going on? I'm sure there has. I have just been flying and in the trenches with Superman
I do agree with you that I think it still is not as big of a marketing push as it could be, which again, we still have 2 more weeks for them to kind of change that. But it's still, they're accomplishing 2 very different things, like for the
Mhm.
franchises that they're in. But they are putting out stuff. Like I have this in the rundown. They put out a clip of the dinner scene where Sue reveals that she's pregnant. Like they put that out at the usual 7 p.m. dinner time. And that is delightful. Like you can tell the chemistry there. It is so fun to see. But yeah, they're still just kind of like peppering things in here and there. But I think they also kind of recognize that like it is Superman's week first and foremost.
Did anyone tell Brandon that the Meet the Family featurette came out literally as we were coming on air?
No.
There's like a thing where it introduces each of them, and there's like
Nice.
photos of them backstage, like palling around with each other and stuff.
Oh,
It's very nice.
all of them together, like when they're doing carpets and interviews, they
Yeah.
seem like the best of friends and a genuine family. And I haven't watched the clip yet of them, that family dinner clip. I'm honestly probably done watching stuff for this because I'm
That's
going to
fair.
see it in probably a couple weeks. I'm hoping they show the whole movie for the junket and don't do a Captain America and do a Thunderbolts instead. But you never know. But even then, I'll see it at least a couple days early, I'm sure, which I'll be very excited for, and I'm going to try to avoid stuff. I do like this one thing they did. I think this is very clever. Fantastic Four brought out a Baxter Building listing on Zillow, which I think is super clever. It's got a whole bunch of photos of the Baxter Building. This is really nicely done, in my opinion. It's currently off market, but there's so many Easter eggs in this. Sponsored by the Future Foundation. It is listed as $4,444,444 at 260 Baxter Building Plaza, New York, 10017. 4 beds, 4 baths, 4,444 square feet. All right. Well, it should have been 44,444 square feet. Like, unless it's all just one big concrete slab vertically, and then there's like 4 rooms in it. It is flying car friendly. It has a robotics bay, a super science lab, a machine shop, and it is the Future Foundation HQ. It is listed by Jack West. Is that anybody I should know about? I tried to do a Google search and couldn't find anything.
I'm pretty sure that is just like a character they made up for this campaign because they had like little like promo videos and stuff. So I think it's just for that and not an Easter egg.
This whole description is fun. Behold the Baxter Building, home to the world-famous Fantastic Four. This remarkable residence blends timeless design with the latest innovations from Reed Tech. There's a little name drop Easter egg thing for you that we're going to probably see in the movie. Residents can enjoy an adaptable living space that can stretch to fit their needs. Oh, there's a pun. Residents can flame on with the high-tech kitchen's indoor barbecue and get instant help around the house from their robotic Herbie assistant. Enjoy stunning city views, including the rocket launch pad where the Fantastic Four prep for their cosmic mission. You might even see the Human Torch light up the sky. Very nice, very nice. Amenities, fantastic views. I think there's one that says it's like fireproof furniture.
Mhm.
Nice touch. Skyport garage. There's a listing of all 4 of the neighbors, which I believe are actually your roommates if you're here. But it's Reed, Sue, Ben, and Johnny. Yeah, this is cool. I think this is clever. We've seen this for like Shrek. We've seen this for different things that have iconic locations. And I saw someone in the comment section say, why didn't they do this for Avengers Tower? Because they hate me personally.
I just, as someone who loves just ephemera and just seeing like set design and stuff like that, like I ate this up. Like I love getting to see kind of the high quality. I mean, they're still low quality, which people are like, that is the Zillow experience, is not really having a very high quality photo. But I like just seeing all the details of like how their bedrooms are laid out and all of that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that this was probably one of the coolest sets.
Yeah.
That they built. Like this looks, imagine walking onto this set. I saw like Sean O'Connell from CBR had a post about being on set and having some pictures and stuff, and that featurette of the sets, it just looked awesome. Yeah, that retro futuristic, yeah, nicely done. This is a fun little campaign they did, in my opinion. I dig it. But more on the Fantastic Four front. Let's honor some artists, shall we?
Yeah, so there's actually a picture you can pull up as I talk about this. So in the lead up to Fantastic Four, Jack Kirby, who co-created the team with Stan Lee, got a street named after him in New York. So he grew up on the Lower East Side of New York in the Yancey Street part of the mythos that is tied to Ben is based on his own childhood. And so now today they put out a photo of, they have now a street sign that says Yancey Street and Jack Kirby Way. I think this is wonderful. I am a Jack Kirby acolyte, and I will be forever. That man did so many things in the superhero space, like it cannot be overstated. So it's cool that he gets this kind of tribute. I think it is long overdue, and it's just a sweet little thing.
That's really cool. That's really cool. After Superman was loaded with street sign Easter eggs for comic creators, it's cool to then come out here and see a street sign with Jack Kirby's name on it in our real world.
I want to say, if you're in LA, folks, the Scribble Center is doing it has a Jack Kirby exhibit right now. So I'm gonna go in August.
Oh, hell yeah!
I'm really hyped about it. So keep an eye out for that if you live here, guys.
Oh yeah. Stephen Hall again, $4.99. BD, Jenna, Aaron, and Jamie are the Fantastic Four and should live in the Baxter building. Well, if you keep sending those $4.99s, we might be able to afford that $4 million price tag. Imagine we're doing the podcast from the Baxter building. Goodness gracious.
That conversation pit would be delightful to use.
I'll tell you what. That would be. Thank you, Stephen. Make it to every live show if you can. No, thank you. Hey, you've donated so much to the super chat. Go to facehero.com and get a damn t-shirt. That's what you should be doing. Jenna had somebody shout her out at the Superman screening last night.
Yes, I did. It was very nice. So it's still wild. Just the reach of this show. It is still surreal.
When I was seeing a Face Hero show, I don't know if the person who said hi to you was wearing Face Hero gear, but seeing Face Hero fans, let alone seeing Face Hero merch in the wild, is pretty unbelievable.
I look forward to Comic-Con when people will be wearing the merch, probably. That is going to be nuts.
Yeah, my gosh, that's going to be cool. Which we applied for a panel. I don't think we're getting approved for it this year. But if we do, we will keep you posted, and hopefully everybody shows up in their Face Hero gear. I would just schedule a meetup, but not that our audience is weird. People on the internet are weird. And that makes me a little nervous.
Come to BD's show. And
I'm wrestling Friday night. Circle 6. Circle 6. That's a great call. I have a wrestling match Friday night at San Diego Comic-Con. You won't see BD. You will see the main character. They are two different people. So just know that when you see what I do in a wrestling ring, it's not the same person you see here on this podcast. So SummerSlam, Circle 6, SummerSlam, Jim Velasco in the comments. You can Google it. I will drop a comment. I think actually Jamie got banned for putting a link in the comments.
Yeah.
So
it works now. I tested it.
But I shared it on my Instagram. You can go find it. But I would love to see everybody there. It's going to be interesting to see my friends choose between the IGN party, which is at the same time, and my wrestling match. But I won't fault anyone who chooses the IGN party. It is actually a lot of fun, and I do love the IGN staff. Michael Douglas has retired from acting, essentially. He told Variety, or he said this at a press conference?
It was at a film festival.
Okay, I just read it on Variety. He said, I've had a very busy career. Now I have not worked since 2022 purposely because I realized I had to stop. I've been working pretty hard for almost 60 years, and I did not want to be one of those people who dropped dead on set. One of those people. Does that happen often? Sorry, back to the quote. I'm very happy with taking the time off. I have no real intentions, but I say I'm not retired because if something special came up, I'd go back. But otherwise, I'm quite happy. I just like to watch my wife, Catherine Zeta-Jones, work. End quote. This means his last movie was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
That bums me out.
That has been a lot of the discourse. Has just been Quantumania kind of gets more cursed with each passing day, which is just kind of wild. It's interesting because in addition to that, people are obviously oh, so we won't see him in Secret Wars or we won't see him in whatever. But it's Michael Douglas has had a very prolific and very storied career far beyond the MCU. Jamie can attest to this as much as I can, but go watch any of his other movies. He was a cornerstone of the 80s and 90s, and his career is so much more than just being Hank Pym.
Before Roses comes out with Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman, go watch War of the Roses from '89 maybe with Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. It's one of my favorite movies. And they just remade it, and I'm watch the '80s one before you go see this new one because I love it so much.
Guys are so weird. Orson Welles' last movie is freaking Transformers the movie. Who?
That
cares?
Is true.
Or he's freaking Unicron in it. What? It just happens. Weird stuff like that happens. Some dork on Jeopardy is gonna kill that question in 20 years, and I'll be wow, that's right, that did happen. I'm assuming Jeopardy will still be around. I don't know.
I will say, if he's not going to be in Secret Wars or Doomsday, it does make me wish they killed Hank Pym in Quantumania.
Yeah.
It would have made the movie
they did
better
talk
to have
about
some
doing
stakes.
that. Yeah, I
Kang
do think
sucks
they
because he never
yeah.
did anything of value for his own cause.
Oh goodness, that's why this
I
really
don't
made it
disagree.
onto the rundown. Was that right there?
I do want to add that Michael Douglas starred as Benjamin Franklin in the Apple TV Plus Franklin show. So like it was at least like he went out in a different, like it wasn't his last movie, but
Sure.
but like it counts, I think.
How many Apple TV Plus shows could you name that you could fool me with that are not real?
There are
Because
hundreds.
that sounds fake. I have never
heard
heard of Franklin until this moment.
Same.
Stamina,
What?
2 comments from Stamina. No, death for death's sake is nonsense. Right people out for sake. I think death in that movie would have had a purpose. It would have showed Kang as a threat and added stakes to it instead of having this guy who claims to kill a bunch of Avengers that we didn't see get killed. He also called it quantum media. You might want a shot of penicillin for that. Eric O said, appreciate y'all every week. Hope to see you at SDCC, and I will be wearing my Phase Hero gear with a $20 comment. Eric, thank you so much, my friend. I will be wearing my Phase Hero gear too. I actually ordered the women's size of our tank top by accident. I'm going to give that to Jamie, and I reordered the men's size, and I've worked out in it. It's very cool. It makes you look jacked and tan. Actually, I can't actually promise that. Not false advertising. I in no way looked tan and probably didn't look jacked either in that tank top. Wonder Man released some footage in a Disney Plus teaser. I'm not going to pull it up here because the video will get a strike against it, but you can watch it. We tweeted it. We'll get it up on Instagram because I also want to shift away from Twitter. Thank the Lords, the social media gods, that Threads is growing for me. And eventually, once my goal is once my Threads has more followers than my Twitter account, I'm done. It's going to take a few months probably, but that's the plan. And eventually probably also get Phase Hero active on more platforms, including Instagram, which it's just a lot to balance all these channels. But anyway, Wonder Man dropped some footage in a Disney Plus teaser about Disney Plus things. Looks pretty cool. You see his powers. You see some cool stuff. Yaya in the role. Jenna, can you do a quick schooling for who is Wonder Man?
This is a complicated question because he has a very weird comic history. Jamie immediately starts laughing, not even just with like the Wanda of it all, but just he as himself. So Simon Williams is the son of one of Tony Stark's biggest competitors in like the arms race and in just the technology industry. And through some very complicated means, he gets brainwashed and manipulated by Zemo into having powers and is basically like, I need you to infiltrate the Avengers for me and try to like just ruin them. Very similar to kind of how Civil War ultimately played out. And so he gets powers. There's a lot of messiness with that. His brother becomes the Grim Reaper because he is just very driven by his own rage and stuff like that. A lot of that I don't necessarily see coming into the show because the more modern version of Simon that people kind of know best is the West Coast Avengers era kind of version. He is a struggling actor who is just trying to balance being an actor and being a superhero. And a lot of times it is very just kind of public of like, I am Wonder Man, the superhero, and I'm also starring in this movie. So it's very kind of just a self-aware kind of like self-aggrandizing sort of character. And then in the process, as Jamie kind of alluded to, like he hooks up with Wanda. There's just a lot of romance in the process with that.
Professor Jenna strikes again. I'm doing some just quick little, paused versions of this. Wonder Man's powers do look cool though. This comes in December and we will be ready for it on Phase Hero.
Yeah.
There we go. What else we got today? Anything else on the Marvel front?
There is one kind of sad update on the Marvel front.
Yes. A big rest in peace to Julian McMahon, Dr. Doom from those early 2000s Fantastic Four movies, the OG Fantastic Four movies for my lifetime. He passed away over the weekend. It was a private battle with cancer, I believe it was. That's a bummer. But definitely gave me a lot of good memories. He's also on Nip Tuck, which I was way too young to be watching back then and really wasn't allowed to, but saw enough of to be like, what's going on here?
Charmed. Where my charmed girlies at?
Yep. Heck of a career for
I recommend reading Ian Grufford's tribute to him. It was very sweet.
Oh, I need to look at that. I haven't seen it. So yeah, we just wanted to spread some love for Julian McMahon. Send the best to him and his fam. Thank you, Julian, for the memories. We got some other movie news. Jurassic World printed money over the weekend.
What'd I say? What have I been saying all year?
You were right.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna play devil's advocate because while I acknowledge this is a phenomenal amount of money that this movie made, the biggest July 4th opening of all time, I believe it was $308 million worldwide. is what it came out to. But that is Tuesday to Sunday.
Yeah.
That is getting some extra credit there. I haven't been able to track
But
down the
that's
numbers.
always the holiday weekend. Like for as long as I can remember,
What?
they always open.
No,
earlier.
it's always the holiday weekend if July 4th is like on a Thursday. If July 4th
Well,
is on.
No, they always open on Wednesdays, and even on the Tuesday screenings for Jurassic, they were at midnight. They did not do the 7 p.m.s.
Okay.
They started at midnight and went. I don't know why I'm defending it so harshly. It's not like I'm like, yeah, this movie rules. It's fine.
Can I also say? Oh, go ahead, Jamie.
No, I was just gonna say, this is the common way movies are released on holiday weekends.
It is also fascinating to me with this amount of money that they had no IMAX screenings, because like F1 is still in IMAX, and like we just had to see it in like just a standard showing. But like just to still have made the money that it made without the premiere IMAX stuff is impressive, I have to say.
322.5 million worldwide. I was mistaken. 147.8 came domestically in 5 days. 174.4 million overseas globally. The biggest opening of all time for our Jurassic movie was Jurassic World with 525 million back in 2015, back when people had more money and fun. And before, honestly, the next two movies kind of damaged the brand.
Are me and you the only ones that have seen it?
We've all seen it. I think
Everybody saw it too?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
okay.
I wanted to like this movie. I'm a huge Gareth Edwards fan. It's got dinosaurs. I read the reviews. I saw people kind of taking it too seriously. I didn't really care for this movie, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought it was kind of boring. I thought it took a long time to get going. I thought the helpless family stuff was like you needed it, but it was just too much. And then the big ass mutant dinosaur was just so unnecessary and barely even in focus. I couldn't really tell what was going on.
It looked so much like a Rancor. I thought for sure it was gonna get killed by the gate, just like the Rancor, because of how much it looked like a Rancor. I would say what's interesting is I agree it took way too long to get going, but I'm like, once the dinosaurs were there, I'm having fun. I had a good time. But I found that a lot of people didn't like the family, and I liked the family so much more than the main cast, because for me, it was hard to be like, oh, look at these giant celebrities. Like, I just wasn't worried about them the whole time. Like, I'm like,
you weren't bought into Jonathan Bailey hugging a brontosaurus foot?
I did love that.
I'm always
sorry.
about
That
Bailey
it felt like he was he was having a threesome with those dinosaurs.
There had to be a version of those dinosaurs getting it on.
That's in an interview. That's true, Brandon, by the way. Just so you know, not being funny.
Okay, because there was no way they didn't at least think about, should we show the dinos doing a little dinoing? They making baby dinos, showing how the world's so populated. But yeah, well, we won't talk spoilers on this, but I thought the T-Rex scene was fantastic. And the Mosasaur scene was quite good, and the boyfriend grew on me by the end of it. That was the biggest character arc of the whole movie, if we're honest.
I will say, for me, this movie entered the echelon of like, if it's playing in the middle of a weekend on like TNT and I have nothing better to do, or I just need some background noise, I don't care how far into the movie it is on, I will be watching it. Which, like, even Fallen Kingdom for me entered that same sort of category. So I like when I have a new movie that enters that echelon, but I will agree that it's flawed. It was just fun.
The dad was so annoyingly helpless.
Well, he hurt himself. It's better than Dominion, and it's better than Jurassic Park 3. So it like there are better. It's not none of the sequels are that great. There's no Jurassic sequel that comes even within a mile of the original. So I'm like, I'm here for dinosaurs, and it had dinosaurs.
This is like a 5.7 out of 10 for me. Maybe I really didn't like it very much.
It's the funnest 4DX movie I've ever seen.
I believe that.
I bet that was good.
Did you keep your water on, Aaron? Or did you?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. They give us ponchos.
Wow.
The Mosasaur was like freaking. You probably is like being in the splash zone at SeaWorld with that.
Our friend Julian, who we took with us, literally did not know the whole deal of 4DX, and she's like, "Why are they giving us ponchos?" And when Mosasaur does like it full force water cannon straight, we were in the third row. Bang! Right here. She's like, it was good. I'm like, well, worth the price of admission alone.
In Diego, I got to clarify this. So it's on par with Madam Web then in Diego? No, it's better than Madam Web. It was better than Madam Web for me. I'll say
but
that.
Not as fun as Madam Web. Like, let's make that clear.
Just as much product placement as Madam Web when you really think about it.
Yo, how many people are talking about Snickers? Look at us. There you go. We did it. They got their pennies from us. All right.
Wait, real quick. Did anyone else think when that movie started that there was going to be like a Snickers dinosaur hybrid? I thought we were going to get like a Snickers dinosaur. Like,
Can I just say, I love that we were like, we're not going to talk spoilers, but every spoiler sounds absolutely batshit out of context.
People are probably like, if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. If you haven't, you're like, what are they talking about? The Odyssey teaser played before it. I bought tickets to Jurassic. I saw the trailers and everything. So I saw the trailers. Did everybody see the trailers before Jurassic?
Yeah. Can I just do like a mini rant real quick?
I hope this is exactly what I was going to rant about.
Like,
I'm excited.
For me, it's like, okay, we're now at 30 minutes of previews, and that doesn't specifically bother me. I know it bothers a lot of people, and it should, because it's ridiculous. 30 minutes is crazy. But the way that they're organizing these is nonsense. In the middle of the trailers, there's a GMC commercial, and it's not even like trying to be like a movie trailer.
What you mean?
And like, it's just like, oh, here's a GMC commercial. Oh, more trailers. Then it's AMC, so they do that Coke commercial that's been playing forever. Then they do Nicole, and then I'm sorry. Once Nicole says it's time to watch the movie, you can't have a trailer. That's incorrect. Nonsense. But the trailer was dope, and the woman I was sitting next to lost her freaking mind when that trailer started. Like, I don't know if she knew it was coming or not, but she was like, so it was a good teaser, but it did not belong after Nicole. That is not where things go. 20 minutes of trailers. That's enough. AMC 20. That's all.
Chris and I were sitting there like so anxious of like, did we somehow end up in a showing that doesn't have it? Because like you said, like the trailers kept going, the mid-break commercial, which I hate that we just have commercials in there because it just kind of like desensitizes people to appreciate the whole pre-show experience. But I wish they would have almost said ahead of time, hey guys, it is immediately before Jurassic. Like it is on the same exact reel. Wait until the end of the trailers and there it is. Because I agree with you. I was kind of losing my mind a little bit. But it is a great teaser. I'm excited to see it again in proper IMAX the way that Nolan most likely intended when I go see Superman again.
Yeah, I got to see it in proper IMAX. And I do think it was probably just like literally formatted as part of the movie. So that's why it happened after Nicole. But I did feel like Jurassic's trailers felt longer than usual.
Yes.
They really just kept going. But the Odyssey teaser itself was very cool.
Yeah.
Also very uneventful.
But that's fine. It still is a good teaser. It is the definition of a teaser. And we hear John Bernthal speaking in like rhymes, which is just delightful. So I was pleased.
Spider-Man and the Punisher yapping about Matt Damon's Odysseus. That's pretty much what it is. It's just basically John Bernthal's. Who's he playing? I don't even know who he's playing. Hyping up Odysseus, and then you see Matt Damon laying on the door from Titanic in the middle of the ocean. So that's pretty. But hey, it is automatically one of my most anticipated movies of the year next year. Not just because of the cast, but because Christopher Nolan is my favorite director. So I can't wait. It is the first movie shot entirely in IMAX, and we learned this week that Dune Part 3, which is now the official title of the third Dune movie, will also be filmed entirely in IMAX. It is the second movie filmed entirely in IMAX, and it started production just a couple of days ago. I'm excited for that as well.
I'm confused about why they changed it back to Part 3, because it feels like movies have realized that doesn't necessarily always work. But maybe I don't know. Does anyone have any theories about this, Erin? I feel like maybe you have some thoughts. I think.
Can I just say I think that it's because the like subtitle of Messiah is a very coded word, and also I think that they might be remixing some of Messiah with just the larger Dune lore. Like it might not be like a straight adaptation, because a straight adaptation of Messiah is still going to be crazy in and of itself. And I think it's just an easier sell to people to just say that it's Part 3. Otherwise, it sounds like it could be like a spinoff or a prequel or something else.
I mean, shout out to them for getting this sucker out before he inevitably gets his life eaten by Bond. As a person who's probably the lowest on the Dune movies of anyone here, just like whatever. That it's fun, good for you. I mean, it's funny that everyone says like, okay, we're done with like franchise, whatever. These are those though. This is the same thing. It's like the summer camp for all of the cool actors back to back. How many actors are Dune Part 3 and the Odyssey going to share? Like 65%, 70%, something like that. And then those who aren't there, they'll sub them out for the ones who are filming freaking Doomsday right now, because that's going to be done by the time we get this thing really rolling. So I don't know. It's super interesting. Like, just as we move along what is franchise or what are not. And also, we're going to see if like the Dune Hive exists like the Avatar fans. Where they'll come out of hiding, like someone plays a conch and they just start coming from the walls.
They will. They'll be there.
From Jamie.
Adam Kahn, thank you for this comment. Dune Part 3 is not entirely in IMAX anymore. That was a mistake. I verified since I saw that comment, and correct. Dune Part 3 will have scenes in IMAX. I was mistaken. Odyssey remains the only movie shot entirely in IMAX. That's expensive, by the way, shooting an entire movie in IMAX. Goodness gracious. I just feel like Nolan's one of those directors who gets a blank check.
Yeah.
Just blank. Go make your movie, blank check. Last thing we're going to talk about today. And if you have a question for us, feel free to drop it in, but we're going to wrap this up. Marvel, Lucasfilm, Warner Brothers, Legendary, Sony, Lionsgate, and Paramount all skipping Hall H for movie panels at San Diego Comic-Con. This comes from The Wrap. Project Hail Mary will be there. That movie looks awesome. The trailer showed me the whole movie. I wish it didn't, but the movie looks awesome. And Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, as we mentioned earlier, will be showcased at a convention later this year. Peacemaker Season 2 is going. I know a couple other movies that are going. I don't know if they're announced yet.
I saw an announcement yesterday, and I got so excited that on Thursday, Toxic Avenger is going to be in Hall H. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm so hyped for that movie. But then I realized that it's when Jenna, Aaron, and I are going to see Fantastic Four because we've got tickets in San Diego. So I was like, oh, okay. The one Hall H, I was like, yeah, it's finally, I've never stepped foot inside Hall H. And now once again, I probably won't. One day.
I think really it is just a weird off year. Like once Marvel Studios was like, we're not bringing Doomsday because it logistically doesn't make sense to fly half of our cast and have them be extremely jet lagged. I think it just kind of is this thing where the movies that are coming out in the immediate future that would benefit from a Hall H panel are only nerdy to a certain extent, or aren't something that would command a sort of Hall H presence. And even with something like Supergirl, it's way too early to start promo for that, especially when Superman will have just come out 2 weeks before FF is that weekend. Like there are other ways and there are other times to promote a lot of these nerdy movies, and it's not necessarily in Hall H.
But the problem is, again, there's no more San Diego Comic-Con before Supergirl's release date. And we used to get these panels that weren't nearly a full year before release and these previews, and it would show you early footage and people would get really excited, and movies made more money back when that was happening. Obviously, I know the marketing stuff has shifted, but I feel like we were in the $1 billion movie era and everything was going to Comic-Con, even if it was 11 months away. And I would love to have seen Supergirl become the headline of Comic-Con this year, but maybe they're just going to bask in the Superman of it all.
I don't disagree with you, but I also think it's like correlation does not equal causation. I feel like there are plenty of movies that entered the $1 billion club that had no presence at Hall H.
Yeah, of course. You're right.
And so I don't know. I think like it definitely helps get the hype, but as we've learned and as we were kind of talking about earlier, there are other ways to still get people hyped that aren't necessarily Hall H. And like people are saying in the chat, in the process, other projects and other like shows are getting Hall H panels that might not have gotten them before. So I think it ultimately just works out. It's just kind of a weird off year. I feel like this time next year, we're going to have everybody back and it'll be like a huge, gigantic thing.
Motor World Hype, thank you for the 10. Good question here. What are the chances of a DC Studios Hall H panel? I haven't seen any solid reports, one direction or the other. Then there was that confusion with James Gunn and Peacemaker. What's your take? Peacemaker Season 2 is going. Yeah. There will not be, unless something changes. I know for a fact because I've literally talked to the people at DC. They're not doing a Hall H panel this year. People just aren't even available to go. Like just people, I don't know about actors, there's people who would be involved in that. So there won't be a Hall H panel for DC, just Peacemaker Season 2, which could include a tease of something. You never know.
They did say with Peacemaker that they're showing the opening dance sequence at their panel at San Diego.
Oh,
and I will also say with DC, last year they showed the first Creature Commandos trailer at a DC publishing panel. So like there are still ways to have prizes. And if anything, it helps strengthen the brand more that you can have all of these different panels for different things. I feel like Marvel might do something similar since they're not doing Marvel TV or Marvel animation in like an official context. I think there are ways to genuinely make it a surprise and a reward for like, hey, you're in this panel that is on paper for something smaller and you get something bigger in the process.
Jenna, will they ever do a DC showcase again? What is that?
Oh man,
that was many eras ago. I mean, I don't know. I think like I said earlier, I think James kind of has a very specific way of announcing and just kind of unveiling things. Like they're able to do it when and how they really want.
This is I was thinking I'm going to be on DC Studios Showcase, the Max series, on July 18th. So that's cool. I don't know if I said maybe I'll get ahead of myself.
Now you said it now.
I said it out there now. I said it live. I can't take it back. But yeah, I got to go with Coy and Frankie and Tyler and record a DC Studio Showcase episode, and that's going to be streaming on Max and on their social channels talking about Superman on July 18th. So that'll be cool.
I just want to say the silver lining to Hall H, like no DC, no Marvel, is that we're gonna party all weekend. Less work for us. We're gonna have fun.
It'll be great.
After my match on Friday, I am going to be partaking. It is going to be fun. It is going to be fun. Casually cosplaying. What's up, dude? Do y'all think Marvel will ever go the route of Star Wars Celebration and have their own convention one day? I've had this conversation with friends many times. This kept crossing my mind when I was at Star Wars Celebration this year. I think they will, but I think it's just not cross-generational yet as Star Wars is.
Yeah.
Star Wars has decades on Marvel, and I think Marvel could, I'm sure, if they did a every other year convention, an Avengers Con like we saw in Miss Marvel, pack it out. But I also think we just got out of the too much Marvel phase, and we're realizing you got to let people miss it. And I think you don't want to overwhelm people, and they got to get things back going in once Doomsday and Secret Wars. I think sometime after that you might be able to shift into that.
And they already have they have a presence at D23. They've got they usually go to the big cons. I feel like I agree. I think it's one day, but not for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. Well, anything else we want to talk about on today's show? That's all right.
I feel like we yapped plenty.
Yeah.
That
Aaron
Robert Downey Jr. Talk with Dominic Thorne after the finale was delightful. Like the full conversation is very funny. It's very sweet.
Also, he's wearing a West Coast Avengers shirt, which definitely
it's like one of his favorite shirts too. He's worn this thing for like 10 years, and people keep figuring out. They're like, "Does this mean?" And I'm like, that shirt might be old enough to drive, folks. Like, he's had it for a minute. I'm impressed. I can't keep a shirt that long. I think it's busted. But yeah, it was nice.
All right, Joe.
Yeah. I want to piggyback on that and say, like, Ironheart, still great. If you haven't watched it yet, watch it or rewatch it. I'm excited to rewatch it again.
And go listen to our episode.
Incredibly. Go ahead.
I just said they finally did the thing.
It's incredibly funny that and Brave New World are the 1 and 2 things on Disney Plus for the past 2 weeks. It's very funny to me. Very funny to me. But we'll get to that later.
We got a last second super chat here from Motor World High. $5.
I can answer this.
We'll stay on here for super chats, of course. Wait, who's going to the anniversary of the OG 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle screenings? We got one hand up.
Tony's a huge Ninja Turtles guy. We literally watched Secret of the Ooze like a week ago.
Nice.
So I will definitely be checking out the anniversary screening.
C Black, thank you for the $1.99. You said Doomsday leak photos. Yes. Those exist. We've seen them, but we're not going to pull them up here. We're also not going to act like we don't see them, but we're not going to promote that. We're not going to talk about that kind of stuff and say what's in there for people who want to stay spoiler free. Yes, if you want to find them, there has been stuff that I don't know if it's real or not. There's been all sorts of leaks from all sorts of movies. But thank you for the $1.99. But if you're a new listener, which I know you're not, C Black, but thank you for the comment. We're just going to remind. We're not going to touch that stuff and spoil anything or piss anybody off or anything like that. So yeah, Jenna, any last words for today's episode?
Thank you all so much for listening. Happy Superman week. I am currently working on the script for my spoiler-free reaction review video for Superman, so keep an eye out on the channel for that. I'm going to get that posted as quickly as humanly possible. And yeah, just subscribe to my channel. Go read some comics, go read some Superman comics, and go subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is at Go Read Some Comics, because I will be talking about this movie on this channel for as much as I possibly can. And it's at Hey It's Gentleman on social media.
Jamie.
Oh, I got 3 things. First of all, follow me on social media because I was using Twitter a little bit, but I'm officially done. I will never post there again on any of my accounts. So follow me on Blue Sky, Instagram. I'm going to try to start using Threads, but Twitter is dead to me now. It's officially done. And number 2, Tony and I are still in the running for America's Favorite Couple. Today is actually the last day to vote in the first round. So go to my Instagram, link in bio, vote for us, because as of tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, it's down to the top 20. Yeah. And number 3, when you go see Superman this weekend, don't take out your phone. You don't need to take a picture of the screen. If you want to take a picture in front of the poster. Take it with your ticket before the movie starts. Leave your phone out and enjoy the movie.
Aaron.
Oh, it's at something like Hornet and at How to Watch Free TV, Free Space. We're working on an episode about Y2K. I'm going to ask Colette Shade, who wrote a really good book called Y2K, How the 2000s Became Everything, to come on and talk about her favorite movies from the era. That should be fun. Probably going to have bubbles blowing in the background of that one because that fits the theme. Also, if you grow more intrigued by us talking about Jurassic World Rebirth, I was on New Rockstars The Break Room talking about Jurassic World Rebirth like a couple days ago, and it gets even more unhinged than what we did here. It's only scratching the surface of how strange that poor little movie is. So go check that out.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging with us on this slightly extended episode of Phase Hero. It's Superman week, so anything goes. Please continue to download the show, share it with your friends, all that kind of good stuff. We will be back on Friday with a live episode. The 4 of us will be here to do our spoiler-filled deep dive into Superman. The weekend is here. Enjoy yourself at theaters. Go have a good time. Don't take your phone out, or Jamie will literally appear. He will be summoned. It's like a portal opens and Thanos walks through, except it's Jamie to snatch your phone and go back through the portal, and then your Find My iPhone doesn't work with where she takes it to. So good. Go be good people at the theater. Clean up after yourself, and thank the staff for being so good, because the theaters are packed, which is nice to see. But also that means a lot of people are leaving popcorn and trash and all that good stuff. Be considered in those ways. Play our show for your dad, play it for your cat. Watch OVW on Thursday nights because I'll be wrestling there. And Friday night at San Diego Comic-Con, you can come to the Summer Slime. Circle 6's Summer Slime on Friday night, and I'll be wrestling there, and I'm really excited for that. But right now, it's all about Superman. That's still a few weeks away. Superman is here. It's now, and we are very excited to be talking about it. See you on Friday, everybody.